Good morning, Mike Kalinowski here. So, Infinity War trailer dropped today. I want to get into why I'm recording one of these reaction videos. You guys know I don't really do these. But let me get into it. I haven't watched it yet. I just woke up a little while ago, and of course, everyone's blowing up about it on Twitter and everything. So I try to stay away from it. So this is me going in fresh, getting an honest reaction for it.
The entire time I knew him, he only ever had one goal. To wipe out half the universe. If he gets all the Infinity Stones, he can do it with the snap of his fingers. Just like that.
Tell me his name again.
Thanos.
We got one advantage. He's coming to us. We have what Thanos wants, so that's what we'll use.
Let's talk about this plan of yours. I think it's good, except it sucks. So let me do the plan, and that way it might be really good.
Wow.
Still exist. Perfectly balanced. As all things should be. I hope they remember you.
I'm Peter, by the way.
Doctor Strange.
Oh, you're using your made-up names. Then I am Spider-Man.
So their reaction, you could tell, it's pretty amazing. So the reason I did this, because because I'm on a DC podcast and do kind of champion DC films. People thought I did not like Marvel, or I try and bash Marvel, and it's not that. And talking to some friends of mine in the industry, and why this or whatever, it kind of came from the fact that this past year I just kind of realized I've been doing the Road to Infinity War thing on my own, just rewatching all the old films. And I was like, why do I kind of feel like I'm either slighting Marvel or whatever when I talk to people on my interactions on Twitter and stuff? And it just dawned on me watching these movies again, remembering how great Civil War is and how great Winter Soldier is. And then it was the past year of Thor, Homecoming, and then Ragnarok, Thor, Homecoming, and Guardians 2, that it lost me. They were three, and if you watch those three films, they're very tonally different than everything. And the cool thing is that Marvel did something different, because everyone had taught, Marvel was making the same movie over and over again. And I have to applaud them for doing, they know they have to do something different with their films, or people are just going to tune out eventually, or know what they'll show up for. So that said, those three films were not for me. I didn't like the, losing character, or something to make jokes. But people love them, and I didn't ever say they were bad films. They're just not for me. And that's why when Black Panther came out, I kind of went online and I was like, you know what, thank you, Marvel. I fell back in love with Marvel films, because it was taking a comic book and using it as, dealing with real world stuff and politics, and that's when I think Marvel is the best, because their characters are, even though the superheroes are us, they're whereas DC, they're kind of the gods, they're known as, and not as relatable, but Marvel characters are the most relatable, and that's why we grew up with them. So seeing them in real world situations and making a statement about them is what I love about Marvel. And the past three films last year just didn't do that for me. And that's not to say they were bad films. They're not. And I just tell people they weren't for me. But I trust the Russos ever since Winter Soldier. In this film, my only thing was I was like, how are characters like okay, we've got this new version of Thor, we've got the Guardians. How is that going to fit in with, the seriousness of Black Panther and Winter Soldier and all that, and that tone? And it seems like they're balancing it well. I don't know. We'll see. I think it's going to be a phenomenal movie, of course. And Russo brothers are the guys, I think, that are know what they're doing. So again, it's not a Marvel DC thing for me. I mean, it comes down to, I always tell people, it's like, if someone came to you and said, okay, for the rest of your life, you can only have one fandom, whether it's Star Wars, Star Trek, Marvel, DC. What do you choose? I mean, and that includes everything: movies, comic books, TV shows, video games, everything. And I would always DC in a heartbeat. That's not to say anything. That's not to say that I don't love the films. And maybe me personally, I need to, when I do bring up Marvel or something, or something in the Marvel or Star Wars world or Disney world, maybe news isn't so good. I don't need to throw that out there and go, well, see, maybe that's my fault. And I get a, whatever reason. And maybe I shouldn't do that. And maybe on the same time, Marvel shouldn't do that against DC because, there's always that, still people are comparing, like, I see this trailer already this morning, 2-minute trailer better than Justice League film. You don't need that. That's kind of, that fans a flame that's gone and doesn't need that. So maybe this is kind of an olive branch to people thinking that, I'm not a Marvel guy or whatever, but I love them. And this film, I mean, hey, I'm right now at work. I mean, yes, there's Batman in my house, Rocketeer on the side, but you don't see itself on the side. I'm working on my Captain America Nomad-ish costume for the premiere, so I'm going to show up as Captain America to the premiere. DC guy showing up as Marvel because I love them. I love the properties. But thank you for watching this, guys. I don't know if I'm going to do more of these. I just kind of did this one because I did a Justice League one, and I wanted you guys to get an honest reaction from me. And again, if you watch my Justice League one is to this one, they're two different reactions. The Justice League was a very kind of emotional, heartfelt one. This was a more of a kid geekdom. I read the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, and all that. I grew up on all this. But I also was part of the, I was the guy that was hunting down the bootleg copies of Fantastic Four and Captain America back in 91 and 92 and 93 and all that. So I've been in for as long as I can remember. It's my thing. So again, hopefully this is kind of like showing people I'm not just such a DC guy. I love them both. But you guys are great in my interactions on Twitter. I love when it's interaction with you guys. So keep it up. In the words of Stan Lee, Excelsior.